Ollie's true identity has finally been discovered, and no, it's not who you think. You see, our evidence recently revealed to us started by proving that Ollie can't physically be the prototype. But why not? Well, it turns out the biggest piece of evidence tying to Ollie connects to an Easter egg that was actually discovered way back in Chapter 1. This is where Ollie's identity very slowly started to become pieced together for us. You see, at the very start of the whole thing, it was revealed that the reason we were entering the Poppy Playtime factory in the first place was because of a mysterious note that gave us our first mission that started it all. Everyone thinks the staff disappeared 10 years ago, but we're still here, find the flower. Basically kicking off our entire journey throughout Poppy Playtime with just one big problem. It was never revealed who had actually written this letter in the first place. But with the involvement of Ollie thrown into the mix, everything starts to finally match up. You see, analyzing this key piece of the puzzle tells us that the actual creator of this note, who led us on our journey way back in Chapter 1, had the handwriting of a child. The letter itself was literally made with crayons. And further analyzing the characters that were around at this time, we also know that the main suspect, Poppy, had just so happened to be conveniently locked up right until the moment we freed her at the very end of the first chapter. This letter simply couldn't have been made by her. So connecting back to the mystery behind who Ollie actually is, the fact that he's at least presented to us with a childlike voice while also being the only character physically capable of writing the letter in this way that we know of, means there's enough evidence to suggest Ollie is actually the one getting us to fix the whole mess and take down the prototype. While he is a character introduced further down the line rather than in Chapter 1 itself, it was already revealed by Mob Entertainment themselves that they tend to leave in little clues and Easter eggs meant to foreshadow what's to actually come later in the future. The big main details of the complete story, potentially involving Ollie, have already been written. And Ollie does happen to be the one guiding us through practically every obstacle and even congratulating us at the very end after we get one step closer to actually beating the prototype. Basically, we can first piece together his actual motives in the game to start to reveal who his character is. And in terms of this secret identity linked to Ollie, it turns out we can finally completely rule out the involvement of the prototype at all. Let me explain. You see, while digging through the early files for Chapter 3, it turns out we were able to make an interesting discovery about Ollie that Mob Entertainment ended up hiding from us by changing things around at the last moment. Basically, it was revealed through the files themselves that Ollie had been given his own room during a specific section of Home Sweet Home that was actually right next to the room we originally saw Kissy Missy in. It's been cemented in behind the scenes that Ollie was supposed to be an important member of the orphanage with a whole separate story from what we've already seen with the prototype. His whole secret identity already mapped out in the early code for the game that was later removed as it was probably too revealing towards who Ollie actually was. And if you're thinking that this huge secret could have been a mistake, or something Mob Entertainment decided to change their minds about, all we'd have to do to find out the truth about his character is to look at the facts. We know that going back to the official statements made by the developers in the first place, the big details about the future of Poppy Playtime games have already been somewhat planned out. While going into this early development stage for Chapter 3, when they decided to give Ollie his own room in Home Sweet Home, they most definitely already knew that this was part of the story for their future games that they wanted to explore further. They left in this same early development detail in for the actual location of Chapter 4 as well. This is why we were able to locate the prison early throughout these same game files, meaning this all came together to tell us that Ollie was meant to be an orphan in the factory at some point, at the very least. So in the case of this connection to the prototype, we know that the prototype itself has nothing to do with the actual orphans at the factory. The whole identity situation here simply wouldn't add up. We're given the confirmation that Ollie has to either be some type of toy we never suspected him to be, or some type of new experiment involving the Home Sweet Home orphans. So the question at this point is who Ollie actually is if the prototype has nothing to do with it. And it turns out there's been more evidence for that too. You see, based on the only possibilities left for Ollie to actually be, one in particular connects perfectly to the hidden Easter eggs left behind by the developers. The idea that essentially all of the orphans are alive and well, not just Ollie. The evidence for this theory comes from the fact that Miss Delight actually confirmed herself that Catnap had been keeping the orphans safe and out of her reach. We know that the Hour of Joy catastrophe was meant to target all of the actual employees of the factory, as some of the toy experiments causing all the chaos were originally orphans as well. There's no proof of them coming after the other orphans, as it simply wouldn't make sense for them to start turning on them as well as the workers. The same big group of orphans that would obviously include Ollie himself. So as for the actual fate of Ollie and the rest of the orphans that would finally start leading us towards what or who he's actually meant to be, it turns out there's more than enough evidence to point us in that right direction. For starters, based on the actual timeline of the Hour of Joy, which was revealed to be in 1995 by one of the in-game Easter eggs, we know that it'd be physically impossible for Ollie to still sound like a child if it's confirmed the game takes place 10 years after the factory's closing. Ollie would simply have to be a human toy experiment rather than simply being an orphan who survived the 1995 incident. But as for what that actual toy experiment could be, it turns out we already have confirmed possibilities based on what the actual creator behind the game ended up telling us. Basically, we're expecting to see some sort of scrap designs from Chapter 2 actually make a comeback in some shape or form in Chapter 4 specifically. And going off of all these designs we're given so far, it turns out a few actually jump out at us here as important, at least in terms of who Ollie could be. Specifically, we're shown a new Fox toy that actually has more evidence for potentially making an appearance as Ollie than you might think. For starters, the fact that the strong presence of green matches up with the exact color we saw Ollie's name displayed in, meaning there's a pretty high probability he's a green character, and the fact that the theme of this specific character matches up perfectly with the same exact theme many are theorizing for the next official chapter of the game. A sort of amusement park setting proven by this poster left behind in Chapter 3 that would fit the design of this almost clown jester-like animal toy that has the most amount of evidence to back it up compared to any other option we've seen for Ollie so far. And while there isn't any physical confirmation towards this, we know that either way Ollie is meant to be a pretty important character. But it turns out more characters outside of Ollie have also been confirmed based on what the game developers have revealed early for us. While specific Easter eggs in-game have hinted towards the return of some of our fan favorites, there's actually been official statements that tell us everything else we need to know about the other characters we're meant to see in Chapter 4. And I put all this information together for you in this video right here. So for everything we know about the situation early, make sure to check it out.